All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, a couple questions. We do have Tour Southland videos coming soon. We just have to get some of the footage from the road. Unfortunately, I didn't have a camera available during the race, but we got all the stats and talking about getting the green jersey, the combative jersey. But as the road season closes, well, it's been closed for a lot of people, and the gravel's kind of over, and there's people finishing up cyclocross. I want to talk to you real quickly about 2020, planning 2020. Let's try and do this in 5 minutes or less. 4 things to do with a bonus tip to get ready for the best season that you've ever had before. Number 1, what are your 3 big goals? You could have a few more, but really most athletes don't plan enough for the next season, and a lot of people aren't even looking to plan until January or February. But you want to have 3 goals. You know, let's say maybe something in the spring, something midsummer, and then something towards the fall. Or, you know, maybe there's a cluster of races. But this is going to help you figure out the timeline of your training and what you need to be doing so you're not just randomly doing workouts. I would recommend making them event-specific goals rather than saying, hey, I want to hit X amount of watts for Y minutes. Because those goals, those metric-based goals, you're going to find out through the event-based goals, like what you need to be able to do. That's going to be talking about tip number 2. But the other thing, when you have an event-based goal and you go to the event and everything else that happens at the event, even if you don't achieve your podium or your top 10 or whatever, you have all these stories and experiences from that event. Whereas, say you're just going for this metric-based goal, if you don't get it, most athletes start banging their head against the wall. They plateau because they just keep going after the same goal over and over again, which is what you don't want to be doing. They don't change up the stimulus. But on the flip side, even if you achieve it, you look around, you're in the middle of nowhere where you're riding, you hit the goal, you feel excited. It didn't really create much of a memory. I just never see those being as gratifying to athletes as event-based goals. So pick your 3 event-based goals. Number 2, what do you need to do to achieve these goals? It sounds obvious, right? But the number of people I talk to, hey, I want to do really well at Gravel Worlds, or I really want to do well at this race or that race. But then they don't actually prepare for it. They don't think about, what does the race demand of me? Do I have to be able to ride really long? Do I have to get, do people notoriously, like Belgian waffle ride, the beginning of the race is super important if you're actually racing it. I haven't done that race, but you hear all the stories of going down until there's a big funnel and a big single track that if you're not at the front, your race is almost over. If you race Tour of the Battenkill, everyone used to race for the covered bridge. If you didn't get through the covered bridge in the first 20 to 30 guys, it was strung out, and if a gap opened, your day was almost done. So look at the very specific events and what's going to happen on that day, and it'll answer a lot of training questions for you. Number 3, this is a good one that we do all the time. We talk about this in other videos. How do you stack up against your peers in terms of watts per kilogram? Now, you got to be careful because these are just guidelines. But if you're a Cat 3 and you say at an hour you're like a Cat 5 watts per kilogram, you need to work on that long duration stuff. Don't just do nothing but sweet spot, but do some sweet spot. Build up to longer threshold efforts. Like really figure out, how can I ride harder and for longer? And on the flip side, you don't need to be a pack sprinter, but if you're recreational watts per kilogram for sprinting, that's basically telling you I have to be alone if I want to win, right? Like, I'm not an amazing sprinter. I'm not going to beat pure sprinters, but I have a good chance out of a group of 10. It's something that I work on for that specific. Lala, come on. So look at yourself versus your peers and use that as another guideline along with your event-specific training. And then as you have your 3 events, map things backwards. Great comment from a lot of athletes. Man, I've never planned this far in advance. But it makes things so much easier when you know what you're shooting for. You map backwards months in advance. And then you're not worried about your training. You know when you're going to be doing your base training. You know when you're going to be building for 4 to 6 weeks or whatever your spring campaign looks like. And then you know when you need to be doing specific intervals. You don't always have to be doing VO2 max, and you shouldn't always be doing VO2 max. there's a time and place for different things based on your events, and as you map these out and have a plan, it makes it so much easier. And then you can trust your plan, you can trust your training. You know, myself included in this, even having Patrick watching over everything that I do, we can get nervous about our training. Are we ready for this event? And, you know, there's so many things that go into a bike race. Taking the big piece of training and knowing that you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing for your events will help you sleep better at night. It's a great thing. Bonus tip, going into 2020, ask yourself, how do I win? How do I win bike races? How do I want to win bike races? You know, if you are really good at going off the front or winning out of small groups, like maybe you want to keep going and try to further that progression of getting better at riding at threshold, or, you know, the max aerobic, being able to break away from the group. Or if you're someone that likes to be a pack sprinter, are you working on that sprint? Are you working on positioning? Are you working on figuring out more ways to win the way you already win? So while you've got to work on weaknesses so you're not fully exposed, how do you win? Can you get better at those? Can you win more that way? Let me know what questions you have. 2020, this could be your best year ever. I know it's going to be mine. I'm super stoked to tell some of the stories that wrapped up kind of a crazy year for me of trying to do all these different things. And somebody asked on a forum, like, what's everyone's number one thing that they're going to be doing differently in 2020? And mine is definitely focus. So look for that next video coming up. If you like these, please share them with one of your cycling friends. We're always looking to get in front of more eyes and helping more people. Check out the blog for other posts. Email me, brendan@evoke.bike. If you have questions, comments, share the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks a lot. See you guys later, and sorry for Lala being noisy.